to today's performance engagement community meeting. Appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedules to hang out with Jeff and I here for a little bit this morning. We have a jam-packed agenda for us today too. Want to take you through of course, hi, saying hi, welcome, introductions, all that good stuff. We have some odds and ends to take care of. Just want to tell you about a few little things going on. And then the highlight, the main event here today is the HCM 9.2 ePerformance demo. So let's jump right in. I'm sure a lot of you already know a little bit about Teams by this point. Let me actually click on the right screen to advance my slide. There we go. But here we go. Here's some tips and tricks for you. The tools that we'll be using, chat in. Please make this as interactive as you'd like it to be, as you need it to be for us today. If you have a question, we'll have time for Q&A toward the end of our time together. Feel free to unmute yourself and chime in with any questions that you have. And I just realized I'm not sure I introduced myself. So hi, Ray. Nice to see everyone again. Ray Justice at DAS, Office of Talent Management. Overseeing performance, succession, workforce planning, those kinds of things. So welcome everyone again. Sorry about that. But again, Teams tools, you have some options. Raise your hand if you at any time if you want to chime in. Feel free to do that as well. We'll keep you muted for now. And if you talk, I would encourage you to maybe turn your camera on if you have one, so we can kind of see who we're talking to. That'd be great. And Jeff and I are going to have ours on pretty much the whole time, as you can see us as well. A couple other team things specific to the chat. Feel free to chat in anything. Jeff and I are going to tag team the chat as we go through our time together today as well. So we'll, be able to take care of your questions, comments, concerns. If you have a joke or a GIF that you want to send in, feel free to do that too. And that takes us to our agenda. So is that you, Jeff, or is that me?
I can go ahead and run through it.
Yeah.
I just uploaded that into the chat, and I think it uploaded twice because, of course, I got little click happy there, and it wasn't giving me instant gratification for uploading. So the agenda is in there in the chat right now. It's in there twice, just in case if you don't see the first one below it. So, but again, like Ray said, my name is Jeff Hazelton. I work with Ray, and we work in talent management with performance management. So we thank you for joining us today on this snowy, cold February morning. Again, no traveling. This is virtual, makes it even better. We're all comfortable inside our houses, and it is great. We're happy on a Tuesday. So let's dive in. So the agenda today, just some welcome and introductions going out there. We're going to go through a little bit of odds and ends. So again, just kind of cycle timing, cycles ending, cycles coming to a close, cycles beginning, how we normally do it during a performance engagement community. And if you've never been, you'll kind of see how that works. Some document FAQs. What I mean by document FAQs and the odds and ends is just, I know there were communications sent out regarding documents in the system, moving from 9.1 to 9.2. I'll just run through quickly again to give some reassurances as far as those documents migrating over into 9.2. And then we're going to get into the HCM 9.2 upgrade, the main event for today. So like Ray said, he's going to do a system demo. We are going to hold a Q&A. So if you have questions or anything regarding some of that, a lot of those questions and answers, we're going to take back to our team if we don't know the answer. But again, happy to answer any questions that you may have and provide as many options as you can. So again, and then to wrap that up, we will do some virtual office hours. We're going to go over some virtual office hours that Ray and I are going to hold as well. So we'll talk about that. And then, of course, just some next steps and future plans. All right. Did we get all that? If anybody wants to chat anything in, like Ray said, this is super open, super flexible today. I see Donald Wobblin says, love the witness protection filter. It does look a little bit like that. I'm sitting right in front of my in-laws. I'm over at my in-laws house because my wife is at home with our 3-month-old. They have a snow day today. So it's best if I'm not there for distraction. So I'm in the comfort of my in-laws who are in the warmth and sun down in Hilton Head right now. Jealous I'm not playing golf with him today. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump in. So odds and ends cycle timing, like I said, we'll get right in, and that way we can get into the demo here as quickly as possible and have plenty of time for that. So the calendar year cycle. So again, 2020 concluded. Yes, thank God. 2020 is done, over with. We are in 2021 now. Thank God, right? So again, 2020 concluded. So those that were on the calendar year cycle, if you were on that January 1st to December 31st, again, it's February 9th. But if you are still wrapping those up, those should be done. You should have those finalized, and you should be getting and looking towards your 2021 evaluations. Now, when I am referring to those 2020 evaluations, it really is up to you yourselves as HR and your agency heads, whether you are encouraging supervisors to create their 2020 evaluations now within the 9.1 environment, or you are going to mass communicate and say to just create those after the February go live date. So again, that's totally up to you. If you have supervisors that have already created 2021 evaluations, we'll go over that in the next slide a little bit more. Just know those documents will move over in 9.2 without any issue. The April cycle. So again, kind of the same aspects here. We are approaching the evaluation period for the April cycle. I know it's crazy, but it really and truly, there's only about another month and a half left in that April cycle. So the April cycle that runs from April 1st to March 30th. Agency personnel that are on the call today, it's that time to just encourage supervisors to begin that evaluation period and collecting information, anything that they've recorded throughout the year in maybe their Word files, or if they have anything in emails or attachments, just start pulling that all together and prepping for that March 30th cycle end date and the evaluation period closing. Again, if you are going to wait until the 9.2 go live date, make sure that's known to everyone. If you're going to wait for that to occur before you have supervisors go into those evaluations, just let them know. If they want to go ahead and start doing it now, they're more than welcome to do it now. And then the last bullet point I want to get to as far as the April cycle is concerned is creating documents. So what I say by creating documents is that the 60-day notification went out, I'm sure, probably around, Ray, chime in if I'm off on this, the 29th of January, maybe that February 1st, 2nd date. It's hard to tell, but it should have gone out then to all your supervisors. If they have not created yet an evaluation for that April cycle for April 1st, 2020 through March 30th, 2021, it's up to you to convey to them whether you would like to wait for them to create that after we go live here in a week, or if they've created, then that's fine. It just make sure it's just conveyed. If you would like them to wait, that's fine. If they've already created, that's also fine. But again, you might just want to drop a tidbit in case they haven't already, that if you would like them to wait until it's in 9.2, then go right ahead. Any questions so far on just cycles before I move into just some more document FAQs and just rundowns? Feel free to chat that in. Like Ray said, if you'd like to, raise your hand and unmute yourself, by all means, do so. But again, if not, we can do Q&A at the end as well. So don't worry, if you don't have anything right now, we can get it at the end. So Ray, we can go to the next slide. Okay, so again, just some document FAQs. We've sent communication out in the past. We've actually received confirmation through more and more testing that there is going to be very minimal risk for documents not being transferred and imported from 9.1 into 9.2. That means in progress documents. If you're concerned about an in progress document that has been submitted, that has not made its way through the approval cycles, do not fret over getting that pushed through, approved by the end. Those documents will transfer over. Another big one to remember is that if you have evaluations from 2014, 15, and 16, we have seen a lot of those being pushed through the approval cycle and getting completed. That feels like a lifetime ago now, 2014. That's, anything over 3 years ago, I'd even say 2 years ago, even. And Ray, if you don't like that, chime right in. 2 years ago or more, go ahead and just cancel those. They will pull over as well, and you'll always have that in your repertoire if you would ever want to reopen those and revisit for any means whatsoever. So again, if they're old evaluations from at least 2 or more years ago that never made it through, go ahead and give those, a cancel. And you, as HR, if you ever need those reopened for anything, you can most certainly do that with ease whenever you like. And then again, the last one, documents submitted for approval. I kind of went over that with in progress documents. If they're submitted, they're in that approval workflow. I know we had maybe discussed that there may be a couple of issues here or there with that. Those will move over as well. So again, there's very minimal risk here for documents not going into 9.2, the upgrade. Everyone behind that in our department and contractor wise has done a really, really nice job with this upgrade, and it should work swimmingly for us. So again, don't fret with some of these things, and it's okay if they're old. You don't have to worry about pushing those through. That was the big one I wanted to get conveyed, was that if they're older documents, don't worry about getting those through. It's okay to cancel. You can always have those for reference if need be.
Yeah, let me chime in here too, Jeff. I really appreciate everyone's efforts on
Yes.
the document cleanup exercise that we ask you to do. Everyone has been really responsive and done a great job in doing that cleanup. As Jeff mentioned, back, gosh, it feels like forever ago, but it was probably just, back last fall. We were scared with the news that documents that lived within the approval workflow would in fact not make it through the upgrade, which is why we needed you to go through that exercise. In the last couple of weeks, honestly, that news has been kind of upended through some testing that my configuration partners and the applications and reporting team have done. So we've done a couple of different, I don't quite know what to call them. They're sort of like practice upgrade
Pseudo merge.
modes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with those, my art team partner tested those documents that remained in approval workflow, and they actually came over just fine. So we were actually given some misinformation from our upgrade contractor partners, but that's okay. It's always good to clean up the system. It's always good to streamline and make sure everything is as it should be, a little pre-spring cleaning, if you will. So those of you that have yet to maybe go through some of those, I'm still going to check them out and see how big the volume is tomorrow. And then if there are some concerns, then I'll reach out individually. But like Jeff and I have mentioned, I think we'll be just fine.
Yep.
Yeah. So
That's
you good,
all.
Jeff? You good?
Yeah, I think that's all we have just as far as that's concerned. And, like Ray said, thank you to everyone that's, cleaned up and worked tirelessly with those documents. It was a lot of work. I know I worked with a lot of you, and I know Ray did as well. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're set to
Good to go.
hop into the demo.
All right. Well, let me go over just a couple of small reminders. I've probably driven you a little crazy with the communication pieces lately with the HRD newsletter pieces, as well as the emails that I've been sending out to all of the ePerformance administrators through the state. But again, a couple of key dates to remember. Starting Friday evening, don't forget the system, all of HCM will be shut down. You won't be able to access anything HCM at all. Okay, so that starts Friday evening and goes through 6 a.m. Tuesday morning. Beginning tomorrow, there is a suspension period. And what that means is some of the links that you're used to seeing, or maybe that your supervisors are used to seeing it's probably more on the supervisory side, as well as perhaps your approved documents screen. Those are going to disappear temporarily. Okay, those will be disabled because of that potential risk that we were told about way back when of not putting documents into approval workflow. That really has a bigger impact for other modules within the system, such as, if I'm not mistaken, like EPAR is impacted, those kinds of things. So since I'm not a part of those module project teams, I don't want to speak too far in depth on those sides, those pieces, but I know for the whole module HCM wide, there is a suspension period starting tomorrow. And then, of course, go live 6 a.m. on Tuesday the 16th, a week from today. It'll be a good time. You're going to want to set your alarm for that one. I'm not setting my alarm for that. I'm just totally kidding. But yeah, so anything that you see over the next week, if you want to reach out to me or Jeff, if we don't know the answer, like Jeff said, we'll find it and we'll get it out to you just as soon as we can. I know we're both doing some project tasks on Monday next week on the holiday, so we'll have a good idea of how smoothly things are going in advance, so we can kind of hit the ground running on Tuesday morning as well. So let me pause before I shift gears here. Again, feel free to chat in. If you want to, unmute yourself and raise a question, feel free to do that at any time. And we can address those on the fly as we go. All right, it looks like all hearts are clear at the moment. Let me switch gears and go into my environment. So I think now, fingers crossed, you should see my Ohio screen. Jeff, is that accurate on your end?
Yep.
Perfect. Awesome. See, we got the Teams things down. We know what we're doing. All right. So I want to log in to, this is not a live environment. It's an environment that we used for a test that we did about a week ago. So fingers crossed, everything stays connected. I'm VPN'd in here, so it is a live show. I do apologize if something blows up. Knock on wood. Yay. I think we're in. All right, perfect. So my goal with this demo is really to kind of just show you around ePerformance, okay? I want to create an executive template document just to kind of show you some of the things that look a little different. I want to show you around the navigation, the roles, how you get to the more traditional 9.1 navigation that you might be used to as well. I do have a checklist of sorts, but as I said, if anything comes up, if you have any questions along the way, chat them in, and we'll get to those as they come in. So the screen that you'll launch into is the actually self-service screen. So and as you get through the environment, you need to navigate through a couple of different roles. If you play different roles in the system, you might be used to doing this already, but it's kind of streamlined a little bit now. Okay, so at the top here we have the different categories or the different roles that you might play. So self-service is as me as the employee. If I drop that down, I have manager self-service. So as the rater in ePerformance. Workforce administration, that would be as you launch HCM Now as HR. Okay, so that's where you'll approve documents, you'll review documents, you'll transfer those kinds of things, view documents. That all happens under Workforce Administration. For ePerformance, those are the three major roles that you'll need to know about. Okay, these other ones, they're awesome. I'm sure they're great. I haven't played with them at all. I'm not going to lie to you. But we have self-service manager, self-service, and workforce administration. And then we have different tiles. So this is more of a fluid navigation concept. So it's more tile-based than breadcrumb-based as HCM 9.1 is today. Okay, if you're used to those breadcrumbs and you need those, like I gotta have those, you can still get to those. So those are right over here in this compass kind of icon. It's your nav bar icon. So if you open that nav bar, you have a couple different things. So you'll have kind of a history of places that you've been. You'll have your favorites. So your HCM favorites that you have now today will appear there now as well. You can still edit them and so forth. And then you have the navigator. So that's going to look like your main menu, workforce administration, so on and so forth. That's your pathing, if you will. So from an HR perspective, an ePerformance admin perspective, it would be navigator, workforce administration, so on and so forth. I might have just lied to you. Workforce development, there we go. See, I know what I'm doing. Then performance management, there we go. So you have a couple of nav options there. And then if you want to go back to the root, back up to the top, you just click that top button and it'll pop you right back out to the beginning. So that's kind of the difference, the major change, one of the major changes, I should say, between 9.1 and 9.2, how you navigate through the system. Okay, so you'll have an opportunity to play with that as you go through next week as well. Cinnamon asked a question, so will our current favorites move over automatically? You shouldn't need to recreate those. This was an environment, like I said, it was refreshed, loaded with live information about a week ago, maybe a little over a week ago. And all of my favorites are here. They came over just fine. So you shouldn't see an issue. If you're nervous about them coming over, you might screenshot those in 9.1 so you have those on hand next Tuesday. Just check them, make sure that they came over just fine. But I don't anticipate any issues on the favorites. So navigation wise this morning, I'm going to take you through the fluid navigation. Like I said, the nav bar is there. The traditional route is there for you if you want it. Feel free to go forth and conquer the nav bar. But I'm going to take you through the fluid navigation over here. You'll notice as I toggle between these roles, there are little icons or little dots down here. It's kind of like your page on your iPhone. If you have ever noticed those dots at the bottom, it'll scroll through as you go scroll through the pages. Same thing down there, you'll notice those change. So I'm going to go over to Manager Self-Service and create a document for you to see. All right, so once I'm in Manager Self-Service, I'm going to go into Performance Management. Shocking, right? Let me let that open up here. And because I'm in VPN, I might be just a little sluggish here this morning. So let me kind of take you through what you see on the screen here. Okay, so instead of in 9.1 where we have kind of that front page view of ePerformance on every document, you have like the grid of all the steps and the completion status of the steps and the dates and all that kind of stuff. All of that is now over here on the left. So instead of going back out to the beginning of a document or like the I don't know, front page or so to speak of a document, supervisors, raters will now have all that in a list so they can toggle around between the different things that they might need to accomplish within a document. Same thing for the different steps that they could take part in. So we land in current documents, and then we can navigate through historical, view only, all those good things. They have their period edit screens as well, just like we do as HRs. And then we have an approved documents bucket. Again, it's a bucket here, not either or. You'll notice here too that this is all current documents. It's not just performance, it's not just development, it's all documents. So you see this is kind of our testing environment, like I said, that we had that was uploaded with fresh information about a week ago. I have annual stuff and development stuff right in the same document list. So we don't need to navigate around anymore. So all one-stop shop. The other big thing to note is that we have activated the performance notes piece in ePerformance. So what that is, it's kind of like a notepad. If I open it up here, I can create a new performance note. I can edit a new note as well. So I'm going to put in Jeff's information here. Since Jeff's on the call, I can pick on him today, right? Let's see. And I think I have all of these because I have statewide access. If you experience or hear a supervisor say that they see hundreds of employees, let me know. We'll take care of that. Okay. So I'm going to pull up Jeff. I'm going to search. I already created one for him, but to add a new note, shocking, you just click the add a new note icon. And like I said, it's like a notepad, kind of a running list. As folks give feedback, they can put things here. Some of you are used to, or some of your supervisors, I should say, are used to kind of gathering documentation up in a separate location, like in Word or something like that. That's still fine. This is here for you there too if you want it. Okay. If I go back, I'll just show you what a note looks like. So that's kind of what it looks like. I can keep editing it here and I can save it. So now as a supervisor, I can kind of have a running list of conversations, of coaching instances of feedback given. So I can pull on that as I develop my written evaluation at the end of the cycle. So nothing that has to be used, but it's there for supervisors if they want it. Jessica Gerst, hey Jess, asks, will the employees be notified every time there's a new note added? That's a great question. Jeff, that might be one we need to add to our FAQ. I'm not sure. We didn't necessarily, because that was a new feature, it's not necessarily integrated into, I'll show you in a little bit, the writing tools component. I'm not sure what notifications are tied to the performance notes, but that's a really good question.
Yeah, I'll write that down. And I can't remember if when you added a note, if you clicked update in there, if that notification is triggered to the employee or not. So I'll
Yeah.
make a note of that.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Jess.
Mm-hmm.
Shanika mentions, are ePerformance administrators able to view notes? Let's find out. Let's see. If I go back out, I'm going to go to my workforce administration role. I'm going to go into performance management. And this is transfer. Let me just look at documents. So it looks like for ePerformance admins, the buckets still exist. So it's still performance versus development. So do keep that in mind. The big overall bucket is for raters. So as you're guiding folks, as you guys get questions, just be aware of that. We'll have to test that. I'm not sure. That's a good question, Shanika. So let's, Jeff, why don't we jot that down as something we can take a look at this week? I'm going to assume that you probably can, and I'm not sure why I can't view anything right here. Let me see what happens if I save it.
Ray, it's the you have to enable the pop-up in the
Thank you.
taskbar. Always. Yep, always.
Thank
you. Have to
you.
do the always.
Done. Done, done, done. Let's try that one more time. Hey, look at that. Magic happens when you do what you're supposed to do, right? All right, so let me look at that. Um, it looks like this is document specific. I don't see a place for the notes. So without doing like a share screen situation, it looks like the ePerformance admins don't have access, excuse me, into the performance notes. That's a great question. But Jeff, let's note that and see if that's a possibility for down the road.
No,
Um,
I noted that, and I was wondering that too, just from a standpoint of, well, just a security standpoint, if ePerformance admins would be able to see that or not. So
yeah. We wanted to do a little more linking with those performance notes, like being able to pull those notes directly into a comments field, for instance. But this upgrade was not an improvement upgrade. It was a technical upgrade, environment to environment instead of throw new things into the kitchen sink kind of thing. So some of those things we weren't able to tackle, but I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get to those in the not too distant future. So great question, Shanika. Thank you for that. All right, I'm gonna take it back into manager self-service. And to do that, I just clicked on the top little bar there, my role bar, and I'm going to click into performance management. Let me create a document for you guys so you can kind of see what that looks like. I have plenty of currents to show you here, but from a rater's perspective, I want to show you what this looks like too. Speaking of the rater's perspective, I just finished this morning looking at the creation job aid. Jeff's going to take a look at that and give me notes to send back to our developer for our job aids as well. So we'll have a good handful of job aids, the most important ones like creating, approving, those kinds of things. Those should all be up and running. If not by Tuesday morning, then shortly thereafter. But we'll be adding in additional job aids as we go too. And I'll kind of clue you in where you can find those eventually too. So don't let me forget to do that. Let me create a doc. Let me stop talking and do some work here. So I click that create button. You have some search options. The rater does, their list is going to appear, if they need to back up the data or anything like that, they can, but probably not. I'm going to just create one for, I'm going to create one for Vince because I don't have very many documents in there for him. I'll be able to find it easily. So let me continue that. No notifications are turned on in this particular environment, so Vince isn't going to be freaked out if he sees anything, he won't see it. So I'm going to just create, today to today, just to remember what I created. Normally, a rater would never do that for like an annual evaluation, of course. So doc type, I'm going to go annual. Again, because the rater has one big bucket now, they can create any document type from one screen. They don't have to go to the development side to create a PIP or a CDP. They can create them all right here. So let me pick annual. That'll refresh and give me my clone option. I'm not going to clone for you guys. I want to create one from scratch so you can see it. I'm going to do the executive to avoid signing out and in and out and in again. All right, let me create that. As this is spinning and creating, I'll mention too that some of the things that you'll see in this document that I'm going to take you through will be, they're unique to 9.2. So as you have documents from 9.1 being opened in 9.2, then, sorry, my kids are trying to sneak in, then you will see slightly different pieces. Okay, so the 9.1 document, let me show you this as an example. So let me open up Vince's. So as we create or enter criteria, I should say, I'm going to collapse everything so you can see just the sections here for a second. In 9.2, we've removed from the establish evaluation criteria step the summary sections. So your overall classification rating summary section, your overall goals summary, and then your grand overall rating. Those still exist. They just don't appear on this first screen. We thought that would help streamline some of that view, let folks focus on exactly what they need to focus on in this step. Now, if it's a 9.1 document that we open up, okay, those sections will still remain. Okay, so be aware of those nuances. So as we kind of phase out the 9.1 documents, as those are approved and completed and so forth, those pieces will stop appearing when they start creating from 9.2 originally. So this is kind of what it looks like. If I expand all, you'll see some of these things. So purpose, everything that should come in has come in all of our tests from a profile perspective. So if you expect content in section 1, it should be there. If you expect class agency competencies in section 3, they should be there. Okay, same thing for classification competencies. Those all are coming in just like normal. Okay. It looks almost the same to add something in. So if I add something here, here's my add. If I want to expand or collapse, it's all at the top, kind of streamlined now instead of kind of scattered. Okay. Statewide competencies came in just fine. I'm going to select a job level here just to kind of show you what that looks like again. It looks exactly the same, honestly. I'm going to search this. I'm going to add a job level. I'm going to add the sub item, and then it'll appear out into the document. There we go. Okay. Like I said, agency competencies came in just fine. You see it was created by a profile. That means it was created by looking at the department ID for the employee. Same thing for class competencies. Those are created by profile. Those are created by virtue of the job code. Okay, so those are all in and up and running just fine. Tamara asks about the job level in 9.2. I would go with your current practice. So if your practice is to add the job level in 9.1, continue that practice in 9.2. We can't assume the job level for all of the classifications, such as HCM senior analysts. Sometimes those folks do supervise out in the field. So I can't assume that they are individual contributors across the enterprise. That's up to the supervisor to make that call. But good question. Yeah, if you do it in 9.1, do it again in 9.2. So in terms of goals, let me add an item. Should be pretty similar. It's honestly the exact same process to add a goal. Choose add your own, click next. And we have a title. If I can type and talk at the same time, description and measurements. This does look a little different, I will say, because now we can add in bullets, we can add in bolding, we can do some formatting through rich text that we didn't have in 9.1. So that is a little different. If you have folks that like their bullets, I'm one, I like my bullets, those are available now. So folks can format the goals as they want to now too. Okay, they can add in tables if they want, all that good stuff. They can pop this out. There's a like a floating window that should pop out here where they can work and then make changes and then return it. Okay, so that's a little different, but generally speaking, it's the same conceptually. So let me add that in. All right. So then if I scroll back down to the bottom, we should see my fancy goal that I answered. There we go. If I want to keep adding things, I can, so on and so forth. We still have the audit trail. We still have our edit. We still have our delete. It's all retained. One thing that I was gunning for in this version in 9.2 was an autosave feature, and I'm so sorry to report to you that didn't happen. Unfortunately, the autosave, I can hear the moans virtually now. That for some reason they told us they could, and then magically it didn't happen. So we do still have to save. Okay, I'm going to save this. Let that spin for just a second. And then if I continue forward in the process, we've added something in to the performance documents. This doesn't appear in the development documents, okay? I'm pausing because I think I might have misspoke. Jeff, is it just the annuals that the checkpoint is in, or is it in all the performance side? Do you recall?
I think it must just be in the annual because I don't remember the checkpoint being in other
The probationary.
documents.
That makes
Yeah,
sense. Because in the probationary, you're going to create a midpoint document
right.
anyway, and then you create a final. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Katie mentions, are the upside down question marks fixed? I hope. I hope because we have rich text that pasting in from Word will just magically be awesome and it'll be perfect. You try it out and let us know. Report back to us. But yeah, I think it should be fine because Word sort of formats like a rich text as well. So that should work over
Yes.
here.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But the upside down question marks add character.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, it's like building character with upside down question marks.
indeed. So I mentioned the checkpoint. This checkpoint is completely optional. I want to say that a couple of times. The checkpoint is optional. Optional, optional, optional. Okay, there you go. So the checkpoint, I liked this feature because for those agencies that encourage that kind of midpoint discussion, coaching conversation, feedback meeting, goal check-in. This is a really perfect place to track that information. Okay, so I'm going to, in order to get to the checkpoint, I have to approve the criteria, which is a little backwards from 9.1. Okay, but it's okay. Once we get through the checkpoint, we can still finalize the criteria. We can finally approve the criteria. Okay, not to make more clicks, but I really liked this feature for some of you out there. So I'm going to approve my criteria at the beginning. And then that will open up and allow me to go through the checkpoint. So the checkpoint asks a couple of different things. I have to update if I want to use the checkpoint, if I want to have that conversation and document that conversation in the system. There's a couple things I can do. So I can further adjust the criteria here. You see I have a save option. So I can make adjustments and save those changes before I click this share with employee button. Okay, that opens this up to the employee. It's kind of like it's a little bit like a self-evaluation, sort of. So they have an opportunity to make notes and document, and then they have a button that asks or shares the information back with me as the rater. Okay. If that feels cumbersome, you might want to try it out internally in HR, see how it goes, and then encourage or instruct, I should say, maybe not encourage, instruct your raters for the time being to just simply skip the checkpoint. I'm thinking like DRC, this would probably be pretty cumbersome for your corrections officers. You might not want to go through all this. But for maybe the professional positions, you might want a checkpoint, those that do more concerted feedback and coaching conversations. That might be an option that you'd like to incorporate. So check that out. Check out the checkpoint and see if you'd like to utilize that within your agencies. Let us know what questions you have as you dive into that next week and the weeks and months afterwards, and we can always explore that with you and talk about scenarios and cases and things like that if you need to. Okay, but this is what it looks like. It lets me share my notes with the employee. I have manager comments right here. This is for the customer focus competency. So I have manager comments there. I can save those. And then once I'm finished, I can share those out with the employee. Okay, we internally within our team, we already do this in Word. So this would just kind of shift that documentation of the conversation into the system instead of in Word. For you all today, so you don't have to look at all the back and forth, I'm just going to skip the checkpoint and show you what that skip looks like. I'm going to confirm that skip. So Rob mentions, hey Rob, asks, when you share with the employee, what do they see? They have sort of a similar view over here in the steps and tasks pane. So they would see the criteria, then they would see the checkpoint. They should get a notification to say, hey, you have a checkpoint that's been shared with you. You can go in and view it. They have the opportunity, just as you saw a second ago, to make their own comments. And then they have the ability to then share those comments back with me as the rater. Then they would all be packaged up into the same document or into the same checkpoint document. So let me look at the checkpoint here.
And I know, Ray, you mentioned this, and I'm just saying from an employee standpoint, coming from Ray as my direct supervisor, if you do intend to use this checkpoint feature, and I know Ray's gone over it already, I just want to reiterate the fact that if you are doing a 6-month checkpoint with your employees on their goals and their updates, this is such a great resource to have for that point to get everything squaring away in the system, uploaded, so you know where you're at with your goals, if you're going to remove anything, if you're going to update anything, if you're going to change the language. This is kind of that feature that we've been looking for a long time as far as that's concerned. So
yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
yeah.
So when I open up that view, this is what I see as the rater. So I have my rater comments here. I have the employees' comments here. It kind of follows suit. If I had done that for like the goal, I would have seen actual stuff in there. It says the employees' comments aren't shared because I didn't go in as the employee and click the button to share them out with the rater. So it looks very similar to what the rater would see. Good question. All right, let me go back. All right, so I successfully skipped the checkpoint. As the rater, if I did that by accident, I can reopen it if I want to. For us, though, I'm going to move us ahead and finalize the criteria. If I needed to make any changes here, I could do that and save those. That check language, I'll point that out at the top, that still exists. You can still print the evaluations right here as well. Okay, I'm going to mark this as complete. And again, the annual should be the only one that has the checkpoint. The probation, again, you're gonna create a mid document anyway. So at this point, my criteria is done. I'm at the end of my cycle. I'm ready to evaluate, comment, rate, those kinds of things. I'm not going to go through the third party stuff. I feel like that's not used a lot. For those of you that do use it, if you want to stay on afterwards, I'm happy to show it to you. But it works exactly the same as it did before. Just the screen is updated with this new view, the new look and feel, I should say. You do also have the self-evaluation. So once the criteria is finalized, at that point, if you want the employee to self-evaluate, they have the option to do that as well. Once they complete it, we'll be able to view it here as the supervisor, as the rater. Let me go down into the complete review manager evaluation steps. So I'm going to update this with my ratings and such. You're going to get that, the rater is going to get that the same alerts if they forget to rate something, if they forget to put in a rating. If they don't comment on something, they're not going to get an alert on that side. But again, I like to encourage folks to comment on everything because employees need to know how they're doing, right? So this is our customer focus competency. I'm going to mark this as does not meet just to show you what this looks like. It is duplicated here again. It's a kind of a programming thing that we have still in 9.1 as well as 9.2. We do still have a duplicate rating right here. There's not a lot, unfortunately, I'm able to do to change that at the moment. So if I click on my writing tools, my anchors, my development tips, they all appear. If the employee did a self-evaluation or the nominee made comments, those would appear on this screen as well. We can pick those. I'm not going to do that right now, but to start the comments. Okay. Same thing. Let me just continue rating everything. Here too, we can still edit. So if I need to edit the measurements, if I need to add something, I can still do that on the back end. Just make sure you encourage your supervisors as they see that, if they see that, if they notice that, make sure that the employee's on the same page. Again, no surprises. We don't want to beat anyone over the head with something new that we haven't talked about with the employees. So just be aware. So now we have the summary sections. So those are up and running. Again, 3 versus 5 points. Sorry, I know this is tedious, but if I don't do all this, I'm going to get an error message. So again, section 8 is where you'll see an warning message if it's rated below meets expectations. So do be aware of that. That's still there. So that's all intact. Or additional information or documentation confirmation. I'm just going to say no on those. In this document, I use the executive template, so we're not going to have any approvals, but this is where the approvals will build just like you would expect to see in 9.1, and then the rater comments go right here like normal. Then you have all the comments sections at the bottom. You can still add attachments. I believe and I'm doing this for a reason, not just for fun. Do this PowerPoint just for fun. Let me upload that. I believe they've defaulted the attachment audience. When I tested this during UAT, I noticed that the audience defaulted now to employee and manager. Perfect, it did it. So so they don't have to necessarily pick what audience applies anymore, but the option, the dropdown still exists.
Right, Shanika
Yeah.
asks, hi Shanika, if a rater forgets to add a goal, can they still add it in the manager evaluation step after the employee has completed the self-eval?
I'm
Oh,
going to assume yes, because I can, and why I'm assuming yes is because I have the ability to add things now after the self-evaluation step, even though we skipped it. I think you would still be able to do so if you needed to do so. Good question. That might be another FAQ for us, Jeff. Thanks. All right, so you'll notice that we don't have buttons at the bottom. I was actually just looking for one. My laptop is kind of sort of covering up my screen here, part of my screen here, but the buttons up here at the top now. You don't have to search for them at the bottom or the top. They're always in that bar at the top. So I'm going to save this. Okay. I see a funny GIF. Thank you for Stan. I appreciate that. I'm probably going to jump ahead here, but did we get rid of marking complete step once the employee acknowledges? I'm going to demo that for you. I'm really excited about that to share that with you. So fingers crossed, edge of your seat. We'll get there in just a second. So once I've saved it, now in a standard situation, I should say, you would probably be going through the entire approval process. So you would have a submit for approval button here instead of a share with employee button. So we're pretending now that the approvals have happened, everything went swimmingly, it's good to go. Once I'm back in as the rater, then I do need to share it with the employee. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, this is where your submit for approval button should appear in a typical approval situation. All right, so now it's pending acknowledgement. a notification goes out, the employee does their thing. Again, the supervisor has the ability to override that if they need to, okay, if they refused or if they're not able to get in or do it for some reason. I'll say too that if you expect, or if your rater expects to see a step over here and they don't, sort of like my pending acknowledgement, the bottom of the G's, the curve of the G is cut off. They can always go up here and reload the steps and tasks. That should take care of that. Well, it should in real life. It's not for me today. I just must have a special situation. I don't know. So another thing that since I'm over here on this topic, they can collapse that too if they want to just have a whole screen to look at and not have the steps to muddy their view. And then they can expand that again too if they need to.
I found when I was testing her, I was going to say if you collapsed it, then it reloaded for me. It like reset itself. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
if anyone experiences that, have them collapse, refresh this, and they should hopefully be able to see those missing steps. So I'm not going to go out and do the employee acknowledgement. I'm going to overwrite it as the supervisor, but just know that this is where the employee would be given the opportunity to do that. They would log in. I can actually just go show you. Let me go out into the employee's view and show you where mine are. This isn't Vince's, but they'll go into self-service. I'll go in. This one's already acknowledged, but I can go in and view it anyway. So this is kind of what the employee would look like.
Mm-hmm. And Ray, Caroline asked from Adjutant General if those ADJ specific documents pulled over or not.
Yep. They should. Yep. They should be just fine. Yep. Yep. The template still exists. Your documents should be intact once they come over. Absolutely. So if I look at my evaluation, this is my evaluation because I'm in my own login. This is what it would look like just to view it. And then if I go back, my acknowledge button should be right up here at the top. This is already an acknowledged document, so it's just to kind of show you around the employee side a little bit. All right, so let me override this here for us. Oh, because I went out, let me refresh my screen here. Hold that thought. Sorry, I'll be right back. Manager self-service. Vince's is right here. It's pending acknowledgement. Still, yeah, there we go. So I'm going to override the acknowledgement here, just to show you what this looks like. It looks exactly the same. It's just a little floater window instead of a new screen. So employee not available or employee refused. Okay, the employee not available is like the override that you have today, that the rater has today. So let me confirm that to move it forward. And magically, drum roll please, completed. Yay, it's completed. So Stan, to answer your question, there we are. No more marking the document as complete at the end. We no longer need to hound people to do that. It's good to go. Done and done. Yes, Suzette, I agree. That is a beautiful thing, isn't it?
That's beautiful. Yes. Yeah. It's acknowledged and it's done. Yes.
Yes. The other step that's no longer there, I don't know if anyone caught this or not either. If I expand, this is just view. If I had caught it beforehand, but I'm so excited about the completion. The other one that you no longer have to do is mark review held. So it goes right from showing it, opening it up to the employee, sharing it with the employee, to acknowledgement, and that's it from the rater's perspective. No review held, no completion. We do need the acknowledgement still. Okay, so beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay, so we covered a lot there. I do want to show you the admin tasks just quickly. We don't necessarily need to go through any of them unless you want to see them. Getting a lot of good feedback here in the chat. I love it. Even some fun gifts. I appreciate that. So let me pause. What questions do you have about that creation, all the stuff that you've seen so far? Everything, all the other documents creation wise are identical. You're just picking a different template. You're picking a different type, those kinds of things. Let me pause. Feel free to unmute yourself too if you want to just shout it out too. Almost 100 people on the call. I got to imagine there's a question or two out there. All right, well, keep them coming. Don't be shy. In the meantime, as you're thinking, if you have anything, type that on in or chime on in, unmute yourself. Let me take you through just briefly. I want to show you the administrative tasks, just where they are, those kinds of things. So if I toggle back to my oh, I didn't say this out loud. I just did it, and I apologize. So as you open up, let me open up self-service again and open up a document just to show you this. I'm going to open up one of these. It pops a new window, or a new tab, I should say. It doesn't pop it out or overlay on here. It actually gives you a new tab as the rater. You'll see the same thing with the admin tasks as we go through those as well as I open up those. Okay. So if I go back and then I have a back button to take me back out to the top level where I can toggle between roles. So I'm going to go to Workforce Administration. Going to go to Oaks Performance Management. Now, all of these should still live, if we talk about the portal for just a second, all of these should still live in your expected place in the portal. Okay, so do be aware of that. I don't have an environment that overlays the portal and lets me get in through portal and then into HCM. So I see Steve's hand raised. Steve, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, that was like 5 minutes ago. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If not, go ahead, continue. I'll wait till
All right.
the end.
Good to hear your voice anyway, Steve. All right, so from an workforce administration perspective, let me talk you through that one more time. So I toggled over to the role right here. I went into Oaks Performance Management. Okay, so from there, for some reason, it lands me into transfer documents. So do be aware of that. You can look things up here, but be aware that you're on the transfer screen when you land into ePerformance on your end. Okay, so if you want to view a document, make sure you have your pop-up blocker off like we learned earlier, but go into performance or development, and there are your view documents options as the admin. Okay.
And real quick,
Just like,
sorry, no, sorry. Just remember that we have run into that every time we have tested. Is that when you go into those into those view document areas, like Ray did earlier in our demo, you will get one of those pop-up blockers in your taskbar. Just make sure you always click always allow pop-ups here. So because you'll get on that page and go, like I was when we were doing testing, going, well, I don't think this feature is working. Nope, the little pop-up blockers right there in the corner. So just a quick tidbit to remember there.
Hey, Jolene.
Hi, could you do that again? So when you open up administrative tasks, you're going to land on transfer, but how do you see the documents that need your approval?
Approval. So the approval is right here. We have a separate approve button.
So you just click on that, and anything that's pending approval from the administrative piece, that's where we would see them.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Now,
thank you.
yeah, no problem. Good question. I have statewide access, so
Sure.
it might be a minute before we see some results here, but this is where you would go in real life. Yeah, absolutely. Here we go. Yeah, so here's some examples. Again, these are from all over the state because I have wide open access, but this is where you go. You would just click in it just like today. You'd open it up. It would pop a new tab. Okay. And then you would be your normal approval process. You can open up the documents, take a look at it right there. Don't forget this comments does not reflect back in the document. So if you do want to comment, do open this up. I'm actually kind of glad I came here. So let me show you this piece as well. So as the admin, let me scroll all the way to the bottom. You have your comments box. Okay. If I go all the way down, just like today, there's no save button. Okay, so don't be thrown off by that. There's no save button, but this return to link, always look for that. Don't just close down the pop-out window. This is a pop-out window. Don't just close that because you won't save those. Okay, so always click that return to. That will then save that out in that document. Okay, so that'll record that for you. Then you
And
can
Ray
open it.
Cinnamon asked again, do we have updated job aids for 9.2? And the answer is no. No. So this is all just a free for all. So no, I'm kidding. No, we are we're kidding. No, those are being worked on. They're kind of trickling in. Ray and I are actually looking at our first one today. So those are being generated. So stay tuned with us.
Yeah. The the goal with the job aids for go live will be to get the most critical functions, the most widely used functions up and out in a job aid as soon as possible. The other kind of secondary, tertiary items, the third party, you know, those kinds of things, those might be slowly trickling in later. Okay. There was some contract fun that happened, I'll say, and we had to bring the development of those job aids back in house. So our kind of DAS contractor, not our implementer contractor, is being tasked with doing all of those. So Steve asks, the cycle begins in July. Will they be done before then? I'm going to say probably. The bulk, the most critical ones, like I said, will be done very, very soon. But the other ones, like I said, those might take a little bit more time.
And we're going to talk about, Steve, here just from the virtual office hour standpoint and just some things that Ray and I will provide going forward once this goes live. So we'll touch on that a little bit. And Ray, Julie asked, hi, Julie, will admins receive emails when they have evals that are ready for review approval?
No, they will not. The reason for that is we were thinking of our friends at DRC way back when we made that call. For every document that is submitted for approval, every ePerformance admin gets an alert, would get a message. We didn't want to cause that kind of pain and junk email, so we opted not to turn on that notification when we built the approval notifications. So no, HRs will not be notified of new documents being ready for ready for approval. Let me get my English together, and then we'll get it together. There we go. Great questions. Keep them coming. I appreciate it. So let me kind of just, again, show you around. I don't really want to take you through any of these admin tasks because you guys already know how to do these. It's just getting to them at this point. So all of the admin tasks are here: transfer, reopen, cancel, delete. Okay. Those are the big buckets. You can transfer a development and performance document right from the same bucket now. So no need to go to two different slices to do those kinds of things. It's only if you need to view those documents separately that you'll need to go to the performance, then view, or development, then view. Okay. I totally just lied to you. Scratch everything that I just said. I'm so sorry. I talked before I clicked. That doesn't always happen. That doesn't usually happen to me, but I'm so sorry. So we do, in fact, I apologize, have a bucket for admin tasks for performance side. and development side. I'm so sorry about that. It's a live show. I
I
apologize.
almost interrupted you. Sorry. I
Thank you.
almost, but you caught it. You caught it too quickly, and I was like, "Yeah, it's right there." No, no,
Yep,
nope,
yep.
you're good.
See, that's why Jeff and I work so well together. We're kind of on the same wavelength there. Absolutely. So those are the admin pieces that you have there. So what questions on the admin side do you have before we kind of jump back into the slide deck to give you some new dates to keep in mind, new information? Steve asks, can admins create a new document for demonstration purposes, even if he or she is not a supervisor? Technically, you could
You'd have to create it
create
through
it
through the
here. You could create an individual document. The problem would be that it wouldn't be assigned to you. It would be assigned to whatever rater you created it under. So I'm going to say probably not, Steve, in the way that you would want them to demonstrate, like in a training situation or with an employee. Yeah. What we've been doing a lot is kind of jumping on Teams calls, sharing screens, and then that allows us into the rater's view at that point. That's, Teams does have its perks. Working from home does have its perks. So yeah, that's kind of how we've gotten around some of those things.
Ray, did you want to show the nav bar too at all, or should we just leave that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So just to reiterate, there's your nav.
Sorry if I missed that. I've been watching other things on here.
No problem. So yeah, so the nav bar is right here from a e-performance perspective, workforce development, and so forth. It'll take you on from there.
That's more of your current Oaks HCM look, just in case you would want to get to it from that route. So again, multiple ways to get to the same place.
I have a question from Kim. Does the department ID display in the approval inbox? It does not look like it does, but the department ID is searchable. So if you know what department ID you're looking for, you can search for that and narrow by that means as well.
I'm going to write that one down for the FAQ, right?
Good question. And if that poses, an issue for anybody, let us know. We can talk about that with our configuration folks. Joe mentions, Joe, maybe that chat is for someone else. I'm not sure what. There you go. All right. Thanks. I was like Greek. That's cool. Spanish maybe, but not Greek. So let me kind of take us back into the slides here. So we talked about these key dates. Let me move us forward and talk about a couple of other things. Actually, I think Jeff is going to talk about the office hours.
Oh yeah, thanks. Right. Yeah. And I'm just kind of piggybacking off what we've already talked about. I know job aids have been mentioned quite a bit. We're working on those behind the scenes. Again, those are getting to us as quickly as they get to us. So we'll get those reviewed, updated, and try to get those out to everyone as soon as possible. But in the meantime, Ray and I talked, and we thought a good way to kind of help with this transition might be to have just some virtual office hours. So we are going to have some times here coming up during the rest of February. So on the 17th, we'll have some virtual office hours from 1 to 3, the 19th, 10 to noon, the 23rd, 2 to 4, and the 25th, 2:30 to 4:30. And this is just if you have questions regarding anything within the 9.2 environment will be available from a virtual standpoint. One of us will be, if not both, just to answer those questions on creation, moving anything through the system that you might need, and so forth. And again, going forward, we haven't really discussed it, but, talking, to what's piggybacking off what Steve said about job aids being done by July, I could see this maybe being a once or twice a month thing where, either most likely myself or Ray gets on for an hour or so and just does, virtual office hours if you have questions on anything. So again, that's what the virtual office hours were designed to be. So again, we encourage you to hop on and ask away with questions that you may have during those time frames. So again, those times are there. Ray, go ahead. Did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I want to jump in. Sorry, Jeff. I'm more verbose than normal today. So these are really intended for you all, for our ePerformance admin
Thank you for
counterparts within
clarifying
the
that. Yeah.
agency. Yeah. So I would encourage you, you all are our kind of field support, if you will. So, your supervisors look to you all to support them in all things ePerformance. We support you all in ePerformance. So, if questions from your supervisors roll in, chat us through Teams, give us a call through Teams, or come to one of these open office hours. These are really intended for you all as ePerformance admins, not necessarily for your raters to kind of free for all come on in. So as your folks bring you questions, jot them down. If it's urgent, chat us, email us. Your normal contacts still apply, but these are really designed for you all as ePerformance admins to come and chat with us. Same thing for I'm probably stepping on your toes here, Jeff, but
Nope.
I'm on a roll, so I'm going to take it.
This is why there's two of us. So that's
Yeah.
why you catch these things. So
The other thing I'd note, speaking of the ePerformance mailbox, I would say too that if as questions arise, I would encourage you to send those questions, issues, concerns to the ePerformance inbox rather than sending them individually to Jeff or I in our personal inboxes. So in the unlikely event that both of us are out of the office, we'll have someone else manning the ship, so to speak, and able to answer those questions for you. So, definitely send those over to the ePerformance admin. I totally lied to you. ePerformance@das.ohio.gov. Let me say it one more time. ePerformance@das.ohio.gov rather than sending them to us personally. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Laverna asks, Ray, you might want to, when do you say expect the job aids to be available? I don't know if we have a set date.
Yeah, not really a
ASAP.
set date on that one.
Yeah.
We have a good set that should be available at Go Live. I did an exercise to look through all the job aids and identify like the top I think 5, like the creation, those kinds of things, most critical tasks for folks to be able to do. So we'll have a handful and then we'll kind of trickle those in as they come.
And Joe, yes, will supervisors receive notification that administrators have approved and the eval is back in their court? Yes, notification systems will work just as they did before. So yes, they will get notified that that document's back with them and to go through the last remaining steps. Again, not as many as before. So awesome, yay. But yes, just those last couple of steps there. Steve asks, is the PIP template the same? But yes, as far as we've tested and seen, PIP template remains the same. Good
Absolutely.
questions. Yep. Any others as far as like this is concerned? Keep coming in, and again, feel free to unmute yourselves and ask away too. Don't need to type it in. Okay, well then, again, just keep those dates in mind, and we look forward to maybe seeing some of you there on those dates.
And we'll kind of reassess too. If we need to add more later, we can do that too. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so again, just a lot to unpack today, just from a meeting recap standpoint. Went through a lot of cycle items. We went through, Ray went through a great walkthrough demo of the new 9.2 environment, some how-tos on how to navigate everything, accessing certain points and whatnot, and just some new features and whatnot in the system. The 9.2 upgrade is indeed happening. Go live again, like Ray said, 6 a.m. on the 16th. Keep in mind some of those dates as far as unavailability goes next week. I don't have the dates in front of me. I apologize. When it was
Starting
again.
tomorrow.
Yes,
Starts tomorrow.
Thank you. Yes. So again, just as far as those dates are concerned, keep those in mind, and then just keep a lookout for some future PEC dates. We'll have something coming up here in the future, and think of something fun for us to do going forward.
Jeff, I'm so sorry. I'm going to chime in one more time. One of the next steps I forgot about was this recording. So I'm going to be posting this recording, easy for me to say, not only where the PEC resources are posted online, but I'm also going to post this on the ePerformance Toolkit right ahead of the current job aids. I am going to leave the current job aids out there just in case there is a task or something that is maybe not used as often that somebody needs to have until we get the new job aids rolled in. Okay.
Yep.
I'm anticipating that the new job aids will in fact not live on the ePerformance Toolkit. I'm anticipating that those will live in Oaks going forward. So do be aware of that. I will communicate with you when that shift will happen. It will not be next week. I promise you it will not be next week. But like I said, we'll leave up the old job aids for now. We'll put this recording out there. You can take a look through it. And then we will have new resources roll in as we go.
Yeah. And just some last minute items regarding training. Again, the performance roadmap for managing and developing performance is a great resource to not only yourselves, to not only supervisors in general, but for yourselves. If you would like to attend one of these sessions, Ray did a really, really nice job creating a virtual learning format for the roadmap training environment. So again, here are just those future dates on when those trainings are. I highly encourage you to try attending one of these if you can, and we'll look forward to it if you do. So there are the spring dates up ahead for the plan, engage, evaluate, and coaching and developing sessions. Availability still is intact for those. So
through Ohio Learn, check those out.
Yes, through Ohio Learn. Thank you. Yep. Any other questions just from our standpoint? Feel free to chat it in. We can hang out on the line for a few additional minutes if you need anything. There's our contact info again, like Ray said. Just to reiterate, emailing in the performance inbox rather than just one of our individual emails. It can be hit or miss. If Ray are out of the office, we don't want anything to go unseen or unanswered. So just reinforcing that again. Anything else other than that? We both thank everyone for attending today. Hopefully this was helpful. Ray and I really wanted to get this on the books and get that environment demoed so that you could get a firsthand look at what everything's going to look like go live here in a week or so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
With that, thanks everyone for attending. We appreciate it. And like Jeff said, we'll stick around if anyone wants to hang out with us for a little longer.
Yeah.
Have a great day, everyone. Stay warm.
Yeah. Yes.